I'm Jennifer Henry. I'm the director of the Counseling Center at Maryville University. And today I'm here to talk about coping with uncertainty, something that I'm pretty certain all of us are dealing with to one degree or another right now during the current pandemic. So today I want to give you some ideas and some strategies for getting through this very uncertain time. So to start off, I wanted to show the illustration on your screen. I don't know about you, but I certainly really enjoy having plans. I am a planner. I like lists. I like making progress towards my goals. But life is a lot more like the bottom picture on the illustration, where there's a lot of things that you just can't predict, whether it's next week, whether it's a month from now. We're all just having to kind of go through each day doing the best we can. So, what we're going to talk about is how to reduce our suffering during this time. And I say it that way because there's no way to just reduce all frustration, to take away any pain or anxiety that we're feeling right now. However, there are ways to reduce areas of suffering that maybe we do have some control over, that we just maybe haven't paid a whole lot of attention to. We're going to go through the challenges, the struggles, but we don't have to suffer maybe as much as we are by implementing some of these strategies. So, the first one is managing your expectations and accepting reality. As you see on the screen, what screws us up most in life is the picture in our head of how it's supposed to be. We spend a lot of time, rehashing our frustrations about this is not what I planned. This is not how it's supposed to be. And when we can actually accept reality and accept what is, we're often able to see that things are okay, and that there's some things going on in our lives that are pretty good, and stop fighting the way things are. The next thing would be acknowledging your feelings and really kind of stopping judging yourself for having them. It's normal to feel frustrated, it's normal to feel anxious right now. So stop judging yourself and just acknowledge your feelings and accept them, knowing that we're in a very unusual situation right now and it's normal to struggle. The next tip would be to determine your control issues. So if you look at the illustration on your screen, you're going to see a circle that really shows, these are some of the things that are in your control. Those would be, if you wear a mask, if you practice social distancing, how much you check the news and check social media, what you do each day. Those are all things that are in your control. On the other hand, there's a lot of things that are not in our control. And those things would be, is there toilet paper in the grocery store? What are other people doing? Other people's behavior. What's the future going to be like a month from now? These are things that if you can identify that they are not in your control, it can really help you to let go of, futile attempts to try to control those things. So really identifying it can be helpful. Next is just a little reminder about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You probably remember it from your Psychology 101 class. But many of us right now have kind of gone back down on the hierarchy to our basic needs. So right now, when there's a pandemic going on, we're concerned about, our physiological needs, our health, our safety, economics, our finances. There's a lot of needs that are on the lower level of the hierarchy that we're having to pay attention to right now. So I would encourage you not to be too hard on yourself if you're not, taking up a new musical instrument or redecorating your entire house or doing anything really creative, because it's hard to focus on the higher level needs when your lower level needs are not fully met. So really being easy on yourself and understanding that right now we just need to step back and take care of ourselves physically, make sure that we're safe and our families are safe and that that's okay. The next reminder would be to manage your social media and your news media exposure. It can be very traumatizing, and you're re-traumatizing yourself every single time that you're watching the same images and the same statistics, multiple times a day. You can stay up to date on what's going on without being completely tuned in to the news and to social media all the time. So it can be really helpful for your emotional state to dial that back and to set some limits in how often you're checking and watching the news. The next tip would be to practice gratefulness. This can be hard when it feels like everything's going wrong. And on your screen, you'll notice a worksheet that you could use where every day on that circle, you write down two or three things that you're really grateful for that day. Some days it might be harder than others. Some days maybe you're grateful that it didn't rain, and then maybe other days you have something really huge that happened. But really looking for things that you're thankful for can change everything in your demeanor and in your attitude. It's like putting on rose-colored glasses, but you're not being unrealistic. You're just training yourself to look for the good, because in almost every situation, along with bad things, there's generally some good things if you train yourself to look for it. The next illustration on your screen is something that I really think illustrates this point of what you look for is what you end up seeing. So you'll see these two inmates, and they're both in prison, and they're both painting the exact same scene. But one of them is seeing the bars, and one of them is seeing what's on the other side of it. And so again, if you train yourself to look for the good, you're still being realistic because you're acknowledging the struggles, but you're also seeing the good that is right in front of you. The next page is identifying your strengths. Thinking about, okay, these are the ways that I have gotten through difficult things in the past. These are situations I've survived from my past. Really identifying times that you've overcome difficult situations and really leaning into that and recognizing how you got through that situation and using those skills and strengths again to get through this situation. The next reminder would be exploring your purpose. If you want to pause at this slide to kind of look through the chart that is included, I know there's a lot of words on it, but really identifying your big picture beliefs. When we're faced with situations where you have very little control and you feel like you don't have any control, this is often where we lean into our faith or our belief systems, our spiritual perspectives to really get through those times. And then lastly, I just want to read a quick reminder to each of you. We, all of us, are currently going through a collective traumatic experience. Trauma is often thought of as too much, too fast, which is exactly what's happening. Of course you're overwhelmed. Of course you're exhausted. Of course you're afraid. Of course you're clinging to certainty in the midst of so much unknown. Of course you aren't as productive. You're feeling foggy and wondering how you can possibly go through so many waves of emotions all in the same day. This all makes so much sense in the context of our circumstances. So be gentle with yourself. Have compassion for your process. Give yourself grace. You're doing good no matter how you're managing this completely new experience. I hope these tips are helpful, and be well.